Stop scrolling. Did you know that a simple coin in your pocket or an old coin box could actually be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars? In today's video, we're going to talk about some rare and historical United States coins, the ones that carry famous inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum. These simple-looking 5-cent Monticello coins can sometimes turn into hidden treasures for collectors. In this video, we'll explore the design of these coins, which mints produced them, their historical background, and how much they might be worth in today's collector's market. It's possible that you already have one of these coins, but don't even realize its true value. So make sure you watch this video until the end, because at the end I'll show you which coins are the most valuable and how you can identify them easily. If you enjoy videos about old coins, rare coins, and hidden treasures, don't forget to like the video thumbs up sign, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel. Also press the bell icon so you never miss any of our amazing coin videos. Now let's get started and discover the fascinating history hidden behind these simple coins. Top 1. The 1941 D. Jefferson Nickel is one of the classic 5-cent coins of the United States and an important piece in the history of American coinage. This coin belongs to the Jefferson Nickels series, which first started in 1938 and replaced the older Buffalo nickel design. The Jefferson nickel was created to honor Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States and one of the most influential figures in American history. Jefferson was also the main author of the United States Declaration of Independence, and his home, Monticello, appears on the reverse side of the coin. The 1941 D nickel was produced at the Denver Mint, which is why it carries a D mint mark. During 1941, the United States was on the edge of entering World War II, and coins from this period represent the last pre-war nickel composition, before special wartime silver nickels were introduced in 1942. On the obverse front of the 1941 D Jefferson nickel, you can see a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson. The design was created by German-American sculptor Felix Schlag, who won a public competition organized by the United States Mint in 1938. Around Jefferson's portrait, you will see several inscriptions that are very important. The word Liberty appears to the right of Jefferson's portrait, followed by the date 1941. Below the portrait appears the national motto, In God We Trust, which has been used on many U.S. coins for over a century. The obverse design is simple yet elegant, focusing mainly on Jefferson's calm expression and the classical artistic style typical of American coins from the early 20th century. The reverse back of the coin shows a detailed image of Monticello, Jefferson's famous plantation home in Virginia. The building is shown in a symmetrical architectural style, with its recognizable dome and steps leading up to the entrance. Above the building appears the Latin motto E Pluribus Unum, which means out of many, one. This phrase represents the unity of the United States from many different states and people. Below the building is written Monticello, clearly identifying Jefferson's historic home. Beneath that appears the denomination 5 cents, and at the bottom of the coin you will see United States of America. Just to the right of Monticello on the reverse side is a D mint mark, indicating the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. The design of Monticello remained mostly unchanged for many decades and became one of the most recognizable images on American coinage. The composition and physical specifications of the 1941 D Jefferson nickel are also interesting for collectors. The coin is made from 75% copper and 25% nickel, which was a standard composition for U.S. nickels before wartime changes. It weighs approximately 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters with a plain, smooth edge. Because the coin contains a large percentage of copper, older nickels sometimes develop a darker tone or natural patina over time. Coins that have been kept in good condition often display a beautiful gray or slightly golden color. The metal mixture was durable enough for circulation, which is why many Jefferson nickels from the early 1940s can still be found today in coin collections. The mintage of the 1941 D Jefferson nickel was quite large. The Denver Mint produced approximately 53,432,000 coins that year. Because of this relatively high production number, the coin is not considered extremely rare. However, coins in high-grade condition or with strong details can still be valuable to collectors. In circulated condition, the coin may only be worth a small premium over face value, but uncirculated examples or coins graded by professional grading companies can be worth significantly more. Collectors especially look for coins with full steps on the Monticello design. This term refers to the clear visibility of the steps at the base of the building. Coins that show all the steps sharply are considered higher quality and often sell for higher prices in the collector market. Another interesting aspect of the 1941 Jefferson nickel is its place in the historical timeline of American coinage. Only 1 year later, in 1942, the United States began producing war nickels that contained silver instead of nickel because nickel metal was needed for military equipment during World War II. These wartime coins also had large mint marks above Monticello. Because the 1941 D nickel was struck just before this major change, it represents the final period of normal nickel production before wartime metal adjustments. For this reason, collectors often include it as an important piece when building a full Jefferson nickel collection. From a collector's perspective, the 1941 D Jefferson nickel is a classic coin that combines history, art, and accessibility. Many beginning collectors start with Jefferson nickels because they are still relatively affordable and easy to find. However, finding one in perfect mint condition can be much harder. Coins stored in original rolls, old bank collections, or long-term coin albums sometimes appear in excellent condition and may attract strong interest in auctions. Over time, the value of these coins can increase depending on their grade, rarity of condition, and demand among collectors. In summary, the 1941 D Jefferson nickel is more than just a 5-cent coin. It represents an era in American history just before the United States entered World War II, honors one of the country's most important founding figures, and features one of the most recognizable historic homes in America. Its design by Felix Schlag, its connection to Thomas Jefferson, and its production at the Denver Mint all contribute to its significance in U.S. coin collecting. Whether found in pocket change, inherited in a coin collection, or purchased from a dealer, this coin remains an interesting and educational piece of American numismatic history. The 1946 Jefferson nickel is an important coin in the history of United States coinage because it represents the first year that normal nickel composition returned after World War II. This coin belongs to the Jefferson nickel series that began in 1938, replacing the earlier Buffalo nickel. The Jefferson nickel was designed to honor Thomas Jefferson, one of the most influential leaders in American history, and the principal author of the United States Declaration of Independence. His famous Virginia home, Monticello, appears on the reverse side of the coin. The 1946 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not place a mint mark on coins during that time period. On the obverse front of the 1946 nickel, you will see a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson. The portrait was designed by sculptor Felix Schlag, whose design won a national competition organized by the United States Mint in 1938. Jefferson's portrait appears calm and dignified, reflecting the classical style often used in American coin designs of the early 20th century. To the left of Jefferson's portrait, you will see the national motto, "In God We Trust." On the right side appears the word liberty, followed by the date 1946. These inscriptions represent the key values of the United States: faith, freedom, and national identity. The obverse design remained largely unchanged for more than 60 years, showing how successful and recognizable this portrait became in American coinage. The reverse back of the 1946 Jefferson nickel features a detailed image of Monticello, Jefferson's historic plantation home located near Charlottesville, Virginia. Monticello was designed by Jefferson himself and is one of the most famous historic buildings in the United States. Above the building you will see the Latin motto, E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one. This phrase symbolizes the unity of the United States as a nation formed from many states and cultures. Directly below the image of Monticello appears the word Monticello. Beneath that is written 5 cents, which indicates the value of the coin. At the bottom of the design appears the inscription United States of America. Because this particular coin was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, it does not have a mint mark, which is normal for many coins produced in Philadelphia during that era. The metal composition and specifications of the 1946 Jefferson nickel are also important for collectors. After World War II ended, the United States Mint returned to the traditional nickel composition used before the war. The coin is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel. It weighs approximately 5 grams, has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters, and features a plain edge without any reading. During the war years from 1942 to 1945, special nickels were made with silver because nickel metal was needed for military production. Those coins are known as war nickel. Therefore, the 1946 nickel represents a return to the normal alloy used for most Jefferson nickels. The mintage of the 1946 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark was very large. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 161,116,000 coins that year. Because of this high production number, the coin is generally considered common in circulated condition. Many of these coins entered everyday circulation across the United States, meaning millions of Americans use them in daily transactions such as buying food, newspapers, or transportation tickets. However, despite being common in worn condition, coins that remain in uncirculated or no perfect condition can still attract interest from collectors and may sell for significantly higher prices. One of the most important qualities collectors look for in Jefferson nickels is something called full steps. This refers to the steps at the base of the Monticello building on the reverse side of the coin. On many coins, these steps appear worn or partially visible because of circulation or weak strikes during minting. However, when a coin shows all the steps clearly and sharply, it is described as having full steps and is considered a higher grade example. Coins with full steps often receive better grades from professional grading companies and can be worth much more than ordinary examples. From a historical perspective, the 1946 Jefferson nickel represents an interesting moment in American history. It was minted just after the end of World War II, when the United States was transitioning from wartime production back to normal civilian life. Factories that had produced military equipment were returning to commercial manufacturing, and the United States economy was entering a period of growth and rebuilding. Coins minted during this time reflect the beginning of a new era in American society. For coin collectors, the 1946 Jefferson nickel is often included in Jefferson nickel albums and sets covering the entire series from 1938 to the present day. Because it was the first post-war year production, it holds a small historical significance even though it is not extremely rare. Collectors enjoy studying the coin's design details, metal composition, and minting history. Sometimes people even find these coins in old coin jars, inherited collections, or rolls of coins saved by previous generations. In conclusion, the 1946 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark is a fascinating piece of American numismatic history. It honors Thomas Jefferson, features his famous home Monticello, and symbolizes the values of the United States through inscriptions like Liberty, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum. Minted at the Philadelphia Mint in large numbers, it served as an everyday coin for millions of Americans after the end of World War II. Today it remains a popular and educational coin for collectors, representing both the artistic legacy of designer Felix Schlag and an important period in the history of the United States Mint. The 1958 D. Jefferson nickel is a classic United States 5-cent coin from the long-running Jefferson nickel series. This series began in 1938, replacing the older Buffalo nickel, and it was created to honor Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson is one of the most important figures in American history. He served as the third president of the United States from 1801 to 1809. And is best known as a principal author of the United States Declaration of Independence. The reverse of the coin features Monticello, Jefferson's famous home. The 1958 D nickel was struck at the Denver Mint, which is why it carries a D mint mark on the reverse side of the coin. On the obverse front of the 1958 D Jefferson nickel, you will see a detailed portrait of Thomas Jefferson facing left. This portrait was designed by the sculptor Felix Schlag, who won a national design competition organized by the United States Mint in 1938. Jefferson's portrait is shown in a calm and dignified pose, representing the classical artistic style common in American coin designs during the mid-20th century. To the left of Jefferson's portrait is the inscription, In God We Trust, which has been used as a national motto on many United States coins. On the right side appears the word Liberty, followed by the year 1958. These inscriptions highlight the values of freedom, faith, and democracy that are central to American identity. The obverse design remained almost unchanged for many decades, which shows how successful and recognizable this design became. The reverse back of the 1958 D Jefferson nickel displays a detailed image of Monticello, the historic home designed and built by Thomas Jefferson in Virginia. Monticello is one of the most famous historic buildings in the United States and represents Jefferson's interest in architecture, science, and classical design. Above the building you will see the Latin motto E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one. This phrase symbolizes the unity of a United States, a nation formed from many states and cultures coming together as one country. Directly below the building appears the word Monticello. Beneath that is written 5 cents, indicating the denomination of the coin. At the very bottom appears United States of America. To the right side of the Monticello building is a D mint mark, showing that the coin was produced at the Denver Mint. The physical characteristics and composition of the 1958 D Jefferson nickel follow the standard specifications used for most Jefferson nickels produced after World War II. The coin is composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a strong and durable metal combination suitable for circulation. The coin weighs approximately 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. It features a plain edge, meaning the edge is smooth rather than reeded like many other coins. Because of its copper content, older nickels sometimes develop natural toning or patina over time, giving them a gray, silver-like, or slightly golden appearance. Coins that have been stored carefully for many years often show attractive toning that collectors appreciate. The mintage of the 1958 D Jefferson nickel was relatively large. The Denver Mint produced approximately 168,249,120 coins that year. Because of this high production number, the coin is generally considered common in circulated condition. Millions of these coins were released into everyday use across the United States during the late 1950s. People used them for small purchases such as food, bus fares, vending machines, and newspapers. Many examples survived in circulation for decades, which is why collectors can still find them today in old coin jars, bankrolls, and inherited coin collections. Although the 1958 D Jefferson nickel is common in worn condition, collectors pay special attention to coins that are found in uncirculated condition. Coins that were never used in everyday transactions usually have bright surfaces, sharp details, and minimal wear. One of the most important detail collectors look for in Jefferson nickels is something known as full steps. This refers to the steps visible at the base of the Monticello building on the reverse side of the coin. When all the steps are clearly visible and sharply struck, the coin is described as having full steps. These coins are much harder to find because many coins were weakly struck during the minting process. As a result, full steps examples can be more valuable and desirable to serious collectors. The historical context of the 1958 Jefferson nickel is also interesting. The late 1950s were part of a period of strong economic growth in the United States after the end of World War II. During this time, American industry expanded, suburban communities grew rapidly, and consumer goods became more widely available. Coins like the 1958 nickel were part of everyday life during this era of prosperity. These coins passed through millions of hands in grocery stores, diners, movie theaters, and vending machines, becoming a small but constant part of daily American commerce. For coin collectors and numismatists, the 1958 D Jefferson nickel is an important piece in completing a full Jefferson nickel collection. Many collectors build albums that include one coin from each year and mint mark combination. Because the Jefferson nickel series has been produced for many decades, completing a full set requires patience and dedication. The 1958 D nickel is often included in these sets because it represents the coinage of the late 1950s and the continued popularity of Felix Schlagg's original design. In conclusion, the 1958 D Jefferson nickel is more than just a 5-cent coin. It honors the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, features a historic home Monticello, and displays important national mottos such as In God We Trust and E Pluribus Unum. Minted at the Denver Mint and produced in large numbers, it served as an everyday coin for millions of Americans during the 1950s. Today it remains a fascinating collectible item that reflects the history, culture, and artistic tradition of United States coinage. For both beginner and experienced collectors, the 1958 D Jefferson nickel continues to be a meaningful and educational piece of American numismatic history. The 1957 Jefferson nickel is a classic United States 5-cent coin that belongs to the long-running Jefferson nickel series, one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. The Jefferson nickel series began in 1938, replacing the earlier Buffalo nickel. The new design was created to honor Thomas Jefferson, one of the most influential leaders in the history of the United States. Jefferson served as the third president from 1801 to 1809. and is best known for writing the United States Declaration of Independence, a document that announced the independence of the American colonies from Great Britain. His famous home, Monticello, is featured on the reverse side of the coin. The 1957 Jefferson nickel with no mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally did not place mint marks on its coins during that time. The obverse front of the 1957 Jefferson nickel displays a left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson. This portrait was designed by the sculptor Felix Schlag, who won a national competition organized by the United States Mint in 1938. Schlag's design was selected from hundreds of submissions because it captured Jefferson's personality and dignity in a simple yet powerful way. On the left side of Jefferson's portrait appears the national motto, "In God We Trust." On the right side you will see the word liberty followed by the date 1957. These inscriptions represent the fundamental principles of the United States: faith, freedom, and democracy. The portrait design remained almost unchanged for more than 60 years, which shows how successful and recognizable it became in American coinage. The reverse back of the 1957 Jefferson nickel features a detailed depiction of Monticello, the historic plantation home designed by Thomas Jefferson in Virginia. Monticello is considered one of the most famous historic homes in the United States and is known for its elegant architecture and iconic dome. Jefferson himself was deeply interested in architecture, science, and engineering, and he designed Monticello to reflect classical European influences combined with American innovation. On the coin, the building is shown from the front with its steps and columns clearly visible. Above the building appears the Latin motto E pluribus unum, which translates to out of many, one. This phrase represents the unity of the United States as a nation formed from many states and cultures. Directly below the building you will see the word Monticello. Beneath that appears the denomination 5 cents. At the bottom of the coin, the inscription, United States of America, identifies the issuing country. Because the coin was minted in Philadelphia, there is no mint mark, which was common for coins produced at that mint during the 1950s. The composition and physical characteristics of the 1957 Jefferson nickel follow the standard specifications used for most Jefferson nickels after World War II. The coin is made of 75% copper and 25% nickel, a strong metal combination that provides durability for coins used in everyday circulation. The coin weighs approximately 5 grams and has a diameter of 21.2 millimeters. Its edge is plain and smooth, unlike coins such as dimes or quarters that have reeded edges. Because of the copper content in the alloy, older Jefferson nickels often develop natural toning over time. This toning can appear gray, silver-colored, or sometimes slightly golden depending on the environment in which the coin was stored. Some collectors appreciate coins with attractive natural toning because it adds character and uniqueness to the piece. The mintage of the 1957 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark was very large. The Philadelphia Mint produced approximately 136,828,900 coins during that year. Because of this high production number, the coin is generally considered common in circulated condition. Millions of these coins entered everyday commerce in the United States during the late 1950s. People used them in daily transactions such as purchasing candy, newspapers, bus tickets, or using vending machines. As a result, many of these coins experience heavy wear as they pass from one person to another over many years. Although the 1957 Jefferson nickel is common in worn condition, collectors are always searching for examples that remain in uncirculated condition. Uncirculated coins show little to no signs of wear and often retain their original mint luster. One of the most important features collectors look for in Jefferson nickels is the presence of full steps. This term refers to the steps visible at the base of the Monticello building on the reverse side of the coin. When all of these steps are clearly defined and fully visible, the coin is described as having full steps. Such coins are much rarer because many coins were weakly struck during the minting process or became worn through circulation. Coins with full steps can receive higher grade from professional grading services and may be worth significantly more than ordinary examples. The historical period during which the 1957 Jefferson nickel was minted was a time of economic expansion and social change in the United States. The country was experiencing rapid industrial growth, suburban development, and technological advancement. The 1950s were also part of the early years of the Cold War, which influenced American politics, culture, and economic priorities. Coins minted during this era circulated widely in a society that was rapidly modernizing, and they became small everyday symbols of American commerce and national identity. For coin collectors, the 1957 Jefferson nickel plays an important role in completing a full Jefferson nickel collection. Many collectors build albums that include one coin from each year and mint mark combination beginning in 1938. Because the Jefferson Nickels series has been produced for decades, assembling a complete set requires dedication and patience. The 1957 nickel represents a coinage of the late 1950s and reflects the continued popularity of Felix Schlagg's original design. In conclusion, the 1957 Jefferson nickel without a mint mark is a significant piece of American numismatic history. It honors the legacy of Thomas Jefferson, features his historic home Monticello, and carries important national mottos such as "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and "E Pluribus Unum." Minted at the Philadelphia Mint and produced in large quantities, the coin served as an everyday part of American life during the 1950s. Today it remains a fascinating collectible item that reflects the artistic design, historical background, and cultural heritage of United States coinage. For both beginner and experienced collectors, the 1957 Jefferson nickel continues to be an interesting and educational coin that connects modern collectors with the history of mid-20th century America.